ground. If that's like you, well, you're in the right spot.
Yeah, sorting the signal from the noise is key. You need to see what's getting real traction.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we're digging into a really interesting report from Blockchain Reporter
Ugh.
reports. This one's dated April 12th, 2025.
Right.
And it spotlights 5 specific layer 1 blockchains that were really making waves in the first part of this year, 2025.
Uh-huh.
So our mission for everyone listening is to kind of unpack these 5.
Mm.
Apertum, APTM, SUDI, Saudi Eyes, Sonic Dollars, Toncoin, TON, and Internet Computer, ICP.
Quite a list.
Yeah. And figure out what makes each one tick. What's their unique angle?
Yeah.
Because they all seem to have one.
They really do. It's not just incremental improvements we're seeing here. These projects have some pretty distinct ideas about architecture and strategy. It's fascinating.
Okay, let's jump in. First up, Apertum, tickers APTM. This one's pretty new, right?
Mm.
Launched January 30th, 2025.
That's right. Launch as a subnet on the Avalanche network. And the report, it definitely highlights some seriously fast growth right out of the gate.
Yeah, I saw that, like surpassing 11,000 daily transactions, getting up to 28,000 wallets.
Yeah.
And 275 smart contracts deployed already.
Pretty impressive numbers for just a few months. The report even used the phrase, it surpassed the existing blockchains on some metrics.
Whoa. For a newcomer, that's saying something.
It is. Now, being an Avalanche subnet gives it a head start, leveraging that existing infrastructure, but still, those figures suggest, real developer and user interest pulling it forward quickly.
And a really big piece seems to be its EVM compatibility, full EVM compatibility.
Yes, crucial point.
So for anyone not super deep in the tech, EEM is the Ethereum virtual machine, basically Ethereum's engine, right?
You got it.
So being EVM compatible means developers building on Ethereum can just take their code, their tools, and, well, pretty much bring them right over to Apertum.
Exactly. It dramatically lowers that barrier to entry. You don't need to learn a whole new system from scratch.
Which has got to be huge for attracting builders to a new platform.
Absolutely essential. Get the developers, get the apps, then hopefully the users follow.
The report also mentioned Apertum uses a DAO structure, a decentralized autonomous organization.
Focused on decentralized governance, community-driven growth, that sort of thing. Sustainable growth is the goal there.
And it looks like the market responded. The native token, APTM, the price apparently just exploded from under, what, 2.5 cents to $2.20?
Yeah, in a matter of days, according to the report, which they linked to projects actually launching on Apertum and bringing in liquidity and users, adoption driving value.
Wow. They even mentioned Forbes APTM connecting it to the DAO framework, so it seems like it came some wider attention too.
That kind of price action definitely signals strong market excitement. Whether it's purely hype or based on solid fundamentals, well, that's always the question. But the DAO aspect is interesting for long-term health.
Okay, let's pivot. Next up is SUI, SECI. This one sounds like it's all about the user experience.
Yeah, Sui's approach is very focused on making things smooth for the end user. Technically, it's quite different. It uses what they call an object-centric data model.
Object-centric.
Right, and its own programming language, Move. Instead of tracking accounts and balances like many others, Sui thinks in terms of individual objects, like a specific NFT or a token balance is its own distinct thing.
Huh, okay. And how does that help?
Well, that architecture is what allows for things like its low latency and, importantly, more stable transaction fees. It enables parallel execution.
Parallel execution, like
Yeah.
processing multiple transactions at the same time, not just one after another.
Exactly, which can massively boost throughput and help avoid those network clog-ups we sometimes see.
Makes sense. The report also flagged a new feature called Zuck Login. What's the deal with that?
Zuck login is aimed squarely at onboarding. It uses zero-knowledge proofs, pretty advanced cryptography, to basically let people create and use wallets using familiar things like, say, their Google account, without the usual hassle of seed phrases and a complex setup.
Oh, wow. That could be huge. Like, really lower the barrier for non-crypto natives.
That's the idea. Wider accessibility, plus the report noted it significantly reduces the cost of using the wallet, too. Both are big friction points, usually.
Yeah, no kidding. Getting started can be intimidating and sometimes expensive.
And for developers, that object model we mentioned, it lets them build these composable objects. Think of them like specialized building blocks that can easily interact with each other across the whole network.
So apps can work together more easily, more like Lego bricks.
Kind of, yeah. It fosters this idea of a more interconnected ecosystem, which is pretty attractive for building complex applications, makes it a strong contender for Web3 development.
Interesting. Okay, third on our list, Sonic, ticker $0. This one seems to have a very specific strategy, developer incentives.
Right. Sonic bills itself as high performance, and like Apertum, it's fully compatible with Ethereum. So again, easy for Ethereum devs.
But their main hook is different.
Yeah, their big differentiator is this fee monetization program. Get this. It potentially allows developers to earn back up to 90% of the transaction fees their application generates.
Wait, 90%? Seriously, that's massive. Usually
Yeah,
the network or validators take most of that, right?
pretty much. This directly rewards developers for building popular apps that drive network usage. It's a very direct incentive.
That could definitely attract some talent. The report also mentioned a big airdrop, something like 190.5 million $0 tokens.
Correct. A classic move to kickstart the community and get tokens into people's hands. They noted 25% of that airdrop unlocks immediately.
And the rest.
The other 75% is locked for 9 months. So it encourages both immediate engagement and, hopefully, some longer-term commitment, a bit of stickiness.
Okay, so they're giving developers a huge cut of the fees and dropping tokens to get people involved. How do they keep the token value up?
Good question. They use a transaction fee burn mechanism.
Fee burn, meaning some of the transaction fees are just destroyed, taken out of circulation.
Exactly. A portion of the fees collected gets permanently removed. Over time, this reduces the total supply of ZIO dollar tokens, which can create scarcity and potentially support the price, assuming demand holds up or grows.
So Sonic's bet is basically reward developers heavily, get them to build great apps, drive transactions, burn some fees to create scarcity, and build a sustainable platform that way.
That sums it up nicely. It's a very clear focus on processing transactions at scale while making it financially attractive for developers to build there instead of somewhere else.
Fascinating. Okay, number 4, Toncoin, T-O-N.
Mm.
This one has that interesting connection to Telegram, the messaging app.
Yeah, the Open Network, or TON. It was initially created by the Telegram team, although now it's run by the independent TON Foundation as an open source project.
And it's a layer 1 proof-of-stake blockchain.
Correct. Proof of stake for consensus, which is generally more scalable and energy efficient than older proof of work systems.
But that Telegram link, that feels like it's superpower. The report mentioned Telegram integrating wallet support for USDT stablecoin transactions.
Directly within the messaging app. That's potentially tapping into, well, hundreds of millions of existing Telegram users.
That's an enormous potential user base,
Yeah.
just right there. Talk about an adoption shortcut.
It's a massive advantage, no doubt. Bringing crypto payments smoothly into a platform people already use daily could be a game changer for mainstream adoption. Less friction, again.
How does it plan to handle all those potential transactions if it really takes off within Telegram?
Technology-wise, it relies heavily on sharding.
Sharding.
Yeah.
Right. That's like splitting the blockchain into smaller pieces that work in parallel.
You got it. Instead of one chain doing everything, you have multiple shards processing transactions simultaneously. It allows the network's capacity to increase dramatically. The report mentioned its potential for, quote, limitless transaction capacity and mass adoption.
Limitless is a bold claim, but the principle makes sense for scaling.
Theoretically, yes. And TON isn't just about payments. The report listed other services too. Decentralized storage, a proxy service for privacy, even decentralized DNS.
So it's aiming to be more of a full infrastructure platform.
Seems that way. Offering those core building blocks makes it more versatile for developers beyond just sending $2 or USDT around, broadens the utility.
Okay, brings us to our final one. Internet Computer, ICP. The report calls it a sovereign network. Sounds ambitious.
It is definitely ambitious. ICP's architecture is quite unique. It runs on a network of dedicated data centers, special node machines.
Not just anyone running a node on their laptop.
No, it's more structured, and it uses something called chain key cryptography. The gist is that this tech lets it weave together lots of individual subnet blockchains into one single scalable platform.
Okay. And what does that enable?
One of the really standout features highlighted is that its smart contracts can directly make standard web requests HTTP requests.
Like talk to normal websites.
Yeah, and even interact directly with other blockchains like Bitcoin without needing bridges or other intermediaries.
Wait, no bridges. That's usually a big security headache, right?
Yeah.
Interacting directly with Bitcoin from a smart contract. That sounds powerful.
It's a significant technical feat if it works reliably at scale. It opens up tons of possibilities for integrating blockchain functions with the existing internet and other crypto networks more seamlessly and potentially more securely.
How do they manage this complex network? The report mentions something called the NNS.
Right, the network nervous system. It's basically the decentralized algorithmic brain or governance system of the internet computer.
A nervous system, huh?
Yeah, it manages everything, upgrading the protocol, adding new node machines, setting economic parameters. It's designed to keep the network running reliably and evolving in a decentralized way.
So ICP's big vision is
What?
what? To let people build completely decentralized versions of existing web services, like social media or finance, but running entirely on-chain.
Pretty much. Enabling developers to build systems using languages like Rust or their own language, Motoko. They don't rely on traditional centralized cloud providers like AWS or Google Cloud. It's aiming to be a sort of world computer.
Wow. Okay, so stepping back, these five are really taking different paths.
Totally different.
You've got Apertum leaning into EVM compatibility and that Avalanche ecosystem boost. Sui obsessed with user experience and its unique object model. Sonic going all in on directly incentivizing developers with fee sharing. Toncoin leveraging that massive Telegram user base.
Right.
And then ICP building this, well, sovereign world computer infrastructure trying to bypass intermediaries. It's quite a spread.
It really is. Each one prioritizing different trade-offs, different technical bets, different go-to-market strategies. It shows just how much experimentation is still happening in the Layer 1 space.
The Blockchain Reporter Reports article did kind of end by pointing to Apertum, didn't it? Suggesting its early growth, that APTM surge, the DAO model, maybe positioned it to lead the next wave.
It did suggest that, based on the momentum observed early this year, but it was also careful to credit the others, Sui, Sonic, Ton, ICP, for their own valuable innovations.
Yeah, I wasn't saying the others aren't important. More like Apertum had captured a certain narrative or excitement at that moment.
Exactly. It reflects the snapshot in time the report captured. Long term, as we know, success depends on so many factors: tech delivery, ecosystem growth, regulation.
Absolutely. So it makes you think, right? With all these different strategies, easy EVM migration, slick UX, direct dev payouts, massive user base integration, radical new infrastructure.
What is the most critical factor going forward? Like, what's going to be the thing that finally pushes blockchain into truly widespread mainstream adoption? Is it one of these angles or maybe something else we're not even seeing clearly yet? Definitely something to chew on.